Welcome back to the channel, guys. I know it's been a little bit since we've done in the shop video. You guys have seen a lot of our drag racing going on because it is drag racing season. But today, I couldn't be more excited to be bringing you this content that we have been waiting to bring you. And some of you that have been following since I said we were going to start this have noticed that the car has changed colors. So originally we bought 23 blue, World Rally Blue WRX, right? And my mistake, because I bought that thing under the impression that the Access Sport was going to work for it. Should have done more research at the time. I figured the 22 was out. We were already into the 23 year a decent bit, that we would have software to be able to tune that car, and Cobb is working hard at that right now. But when we had bought the car, they said it was still going to be about 2 months out until we got the software for it, because Subaru had changed some of the security logic in the ECU that is not allowing the Access Sport to be released quite yet, which they've gotten through, and there's some other things going on in the background. Like I said, they're working hard on getting that for you guys, but it just didn't line up. So I had bought the 23, we waited about a month and a half, and the software had said to be about 2 months out when we originally got it. They ran into some complications, and it's still being pushed out further. So here we are later on. We got rid of our blue 23 WRX. I know some of you are going to be let down. In front of me, I have a red 22 WRX. This is Chris's car. They do all our fabrication. Chris and Craig are brothers, by the way. We'll go more into that a little bit later, probably not in this video. You might see Chris come along in this video, as I've been trying to get him to be more on camera. And some people aren't used to it. You know, there's a time that I definitely wasn't used to it. There's still times I can grow from it. But what we have here is an opportunity to use Chris's 22 WRX here. This is for his girlfriend. So this is going to be our car that we're doing our testing on. I have a whole bunch of parts for you guys to see today. Today is going to be a bit repetitive of going on the dyno and off the dyno and on the dyno. I'm going to try my best to do most of it today. The weather looks like it might stay cooler outside. Obviously we're in summer right now. August usually being our hottest time of the year. So if it gets too hot in here, I'm going to have to wrap this up into tomorrow morning on this car to give you the best results I can. So we're going to do a baseline. This car is 100% stock. This car has 10,000 miles on it right now. Doesn't have any mods other than muffler delete in the back of the car is the only thing. So we're going to do a baseline, see where we start there. Then I'm going to go ahead and put the Access Port on, do a baseline with the Access Port, overlay the graphs, show you guys what is to be gained just by simply adding on an OTS tune. And then we're going to do our own Pro Tune, which is what I always recommend anyways. And I know that's what Cobb recommends as well. You know, the OTS maps are usually to get you to your tuner or get you by until you can get a tune. So we're going to be doing that today. And then, like I said, I have a whole bunch of parts to go on this thing today. All of our supporters, which I want to give a shout out today to Extreme Turbo Systems, ETS as they're better known. They have always supported us from the beginning, along with Perrin too. So Perrin have sent us a bunch of parts we're going to show. Some of them are looks, and then others are power for this thing and reliability. So you guys are going to be seeing that in today's video. And a big shout out to my guys over at Import Image Racing. You guys can go ahead and get any of your parts down below in the description on Import Image. So big shout out to my guys over there, Dane and Josh, always take care of us. So here we are, guys. Like I said, enough rambling. I'm going to get this thing strapped on. We're going to do probably a couple pulls. I know generally, you know, 2 or 3 is what you normally would do for a baseline. Seeing how we're going to be doing a bunch of pulls today, I'll probably just do 2 to try to keep the beating down on the car. So let me get this thing strapped on here. Let's jump into our first pull. All right, guys, 2 baselines done, and definitely a big increase over the previous generation FA20. Subaru really did a great job at tuning this thing on the stock tune. Beautiful power band, nice flat torque line, nice ramping horsepower to where it lays flat up top. Some of this dip down right there is where it's pulling throttle back at the limiter on these cars. 242, 246. Not bad in stock form, guys. Like I said, nice graphs. You can see the second pull, it picked up just a little bit throughout the whole entire pull there. Just a car adapting to being on a dyno. So I'm going to leave that there. That's going to be our baseline. I'm gonna grab our access port now for this thing, and just to be on the safe side, I've seen some things about it. We're gonna put a battery charger on this while we're flashing the map, just to be safe, because I saw someone have a heck of a time with not doing that. Not saying I do it every time, but this time I'm gonna do it so that way we don't have an ECU problem. So let me grab a battery charger, and I'm gonna grab the access port. We're gonna put it on, just load a stage 1 map on the car, do 2 more hits, see where it goes over our baseline, and then we'll get to adding. All right, all installed. Took a little bit longer than I expected. I'm gonna go ahead and do first start on the Cobb tune. Bam. And we're gonna let it sit here and relearn until we see our front 2 actually become active, which looks like it came active really quick compared to the old FA20s. You guys know those cars take quite a bit before that front 2 comes on after you flash them, but we're already live. So I'm gonna let it idle just for a moment to relearn, and we'll be good to go. Do 2 polls on this. See how it overlays over our factory. This is just the stage 1 93 octane Cobb tune. We have 92, same shit. So I know there is a little bit of a difference, but at the end of the day, same shit. So I've let the fan go this whole time to keep that intercooler nice and cool. Let's see what kind of an increase we see off of the stage 1. So literally this is just a tune only from Cobb. Excited to see the differences here. I think it'll pick up at least 10 horsepower and probably 20 torque, but we'll see what happens. All right, pretty impressive there. So I just did the same routine there of doing 2 back-to-back pulls, letting it cool down just a couple minutes between the pulls. Let me close this door so I have to hear the chime. Pretty good increase though. We gained almost 50 torque, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, let me look. Pretty good increase on this thing overall. Made 256, 283. So we gained about 40 some torque, and we gained 12 horsepower. Not bad for a flash tune. You can see the graph here. Factory does a little bit better there of keeping it flat. This is the OTS map there where it comes up and then falls and comes down, which I understand some of that. You know, you're gonna get this because we're raising boost, which raises torque, and then it's gonna have to level down and come down by red line there. But we'll see how we can do later on when we do our Pro Tune. Still a nice, beautiful graph here when it comes to power. Looks almost identical, just raised up over factory. So good job to the guys over at Cobb. You know, if you're trying to run something just in the meantime until you can afford to get a Pro Tune, doesn't look like a bad map to run, guys. So now that we did our 2 runs on here, I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing pulled off the dyno, and we're gonna do full bolt on. So I'm gonna show you guys the process of that. We're gonna leave the stage 1 tune on it because everything I'm gonna change shouldn't affect the tune very much. It would just benefit from having a tune like always. So we'll do that, and then we'll go ahead and do a tune on this thing. Pretty excited to see how much this thing can pick up on a tune. Now we got the car in the shop, and she's all nice and hot. We're gonna work on it. So got everything ready to go. Here are some parts laid out here. This is what we're gonna begin with right now. So some of these parts, there is duplicates of them that we do have here. ETS did send us over one of their top mounts, and I will show you a picture of that installed now on our blue one. So it looked really good, loved it. Perrin sent us as one over as well, so I want to take advantage of both of these to show you guys. So we're going to be using the Perrin one right now. Really nice, beautiful unit here. Excited to see how that does with our intake temps. So then we have an ETS titanium single exit exhaust. The rest of the piping still in the box. As you guys know, we run IAG AOSs on pretty much everything, so went ahead and made sure to pick one of these up. So that is a common issue on these cars where they are sucking oil into the cylinder and causing pre-detonation. So an AOS is probably #1 mod you want to do if you are going to start modding performance-wise on your WRX. Even a reliability aspect, definitely would recommend 10 out of 10 pick one of those up. Right here we have an ETS intake with the box. Very important, guys. Please, if you're buying an intake, please buy the box as well. You don't buy the box, then when you have your intake right here, guess what? All your hot air from your fans go into your intake. So at least the box helps shield that, give you the coldest air opportunity that you can in hot engine bay. So definitely recommend 10 out of 10 as well to get a box of any intake you're getting. Perrin was nice enough to send us over an intake as well. So you're probably going to see duplicates, like I said, of parts being installed on this car. Right now we're going to start out with the ETS one there, and then I'll use the Perrin top mount to kind of balance out here. So this is what we're going to be installing here, and then we're going to put the car back on the dyno, see what it makes just with the bolt-on mods, no tune, and then we'll start tuning this thing and see what we can gain from having these mods on. They obviously will benefit from having a tune. I would recommend it. Just doing this for you guys to see, excuse me, back-to-back results. So I'm going to start getting these things installed. We do have a ton of Perrin parts, guys. They were nice enough to send us over literally almost their whole catalog, if not the whole catalog for this car. Some of those things are not power related, so I think I'm going to separate those into another video for you guys, so that way we can keep this just mainly focused on the power aspect today of tuning your WRX and what mods benefit what. So let's get this thing in the air. I'm going to pull the old exhaust off here. Like I said, it has muffler deletes on it. We're going to get that ETS titanium up. Hopefully I can match it up to the factory J-pipe for now. Yes, we do have a J-pipe up there from ETS, so not the biggest worry if we don't have the clearest bolt-on, but I'll let you know if it does bolt on to a factory J-pipe. I know some of you are going to want to retain that. And then we'll get this top mount put on, which is really straightforward on these cars. I really do like working on them. It's as simple as pulling up this clip here. This pipe will come off, taking that bolt off, and then this assembly will come off of here. Obviously you got to undo your supports. Top mount comes off, makes it really nice and easy. One part I am forgetting that I don't have up there, we had 2 charge pipes. Again, ETS sent us one and Perrin did. I'm going to use the Perrin one right now. That way we can keep it complete with our intercooler. So I'll grab that. I'll show you guys when we're all finished up getting those parts installed and kind of walking through. To put that charge pipe on, you're going to have to obviously remove the duct, which you're going to have to for the intake anyways. And then we take this fan out here, and it'll give us quite a bit more room to get down to the turbo down there, because this runs in front of the motor. So let's get this thing wrapped up, get it on the lift, take that undershield off, kind of walk you guys around the new FA24 22 WRX. All right, boys, I'm going to give you a sneak peek because I got to tap into these parts a little bit for right now. Like I said, we're getting this charge pipe and we're going to get the intercooler. So I'm going to just give you a sneak peek to the next video. What I mean when we have the whole entire Perrin catalog for this car. And a big thank you to Jeff Perrin for getting these sent over to us, guys. You're looking at something for your 22 WRX. I would bet that Perrin does offer it for it, because they have a huge lineup of parts for these cars. And we are going to be showcasing, like I said, if not all of them, most of them. So let's just take a look here. Here you are, boys. So this is what we have to come for this car, but you're gonna have to wait till the next video. For now, let's just get our intercooler on and let's get our charge pipe on. Well, I was doing good at recording until this pal showed up. Thanks, pal.
Blame me.
We just had to knock it out. So, I did get the IAG AOS in the car, and that led us to our next problem where the Perrin top mount unfortunately does not fit with the IAG AOS. I figure you probably have to buy the Perrin AOS for it to work properly, and since we're doing this for recording situations and the front mount is going to stay on this thing, I just went ahead and threw the front mount on the car. So we have ETS full intake, ETS full front mount, 4-inch core, fits behind the bumper, no cutting at all. So that came out really good. Morford from Vivid TI gave us a full bolt kit here to be able to go through the car and figure out how many bolts we need, so that way you guys can get a kit on his website, which is linked down below. So I've been going over this today, getting all the titanium that we could on here that you can see. Just did the raw titanium. And then I'll put this thing up in the air so that way you can see. We got the ETS J pipe on it and catback, titanium catback. I just went ahead and did all of it since we were putting the front mount in the car anyways. It didn't make sense to not just do all of it at once, which it's been quite the day. The J pipes on these, not a fun task. J pipes on 15 to 21 WRX, not a fun task. But this one was really not fun. So pretty new car. Thankfully it wasn't the bolts that was the issue, it was a couple brackets that were a real pain in the butt. So I'll go ahead and get this thing up in the air. That way you guys can see. Now we got the full bolt-ons on. We are going to be tuning this thing pretty much right off the bat, just because it is obviously going to affect it with having a J pipe on it. And I took the restrictor out of the ETS intake so that way we don't need it because we're going to be tuning the car anyways. They have a restrictor that is in it for factory tune, so that way it can be the correct MAF sizing and you don't get any weird air fuel correction codes. So while this thing takes its sweet time to get up here, come on, one day. Now it's like 2 million degrees outside. It was nice and cool this morning, raining. All right, now we're up in the air. I got all the splash shields on. This thing is 100% done. So you're gonna be limited on what you can see, but you can obviously see we have a ETS Jesse ×2 cats, J pipe, ETS full catback, coming all the way back. This is a single exit. You know, probably in hindsight, Chris probably would have liked to have a dual exit. I had bought this for a race car program. Obviously, you want the light as light as you can at that point, so that's why I went with that. So I'm gonna get this thing off the lift, get it back on the dyno, load up the map, and I'm gonna have to learn a bit today on these things because obviously this will be the first one I've tuned. That's the whole point of this project, is to be able to support these for you guys. I know we've been getting emails about tuning them, but I wanted to wait till I physically had my hands on one, tuned it before I offered it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing off and start. All right, cold start for the boys. See how this thing sounds now. I'd say it's a little bit louder. That's a little bit louder.
Ma'am.
Alright, I'm letting this thing cool down. You're gonna hear some fans in the background. So far, first impression, very cool software that Subaru has done for this thing. The electronic wastegate is actually a lot of fun to work with. 2 pulls in and here we are. I'm pretty much done right now with the car. I did add a little bit more timing and boost on this next one to see where we can go with it. But I brought up the original on the stock map versus mine to show you guys the overlay difference of a Pro Tune versus stock. And obviously we have some bolt-ons now. But look at that. I raised the limiter all the way up to 7. Gives you a nice broad flat power band all the way out the back. Factory, they're dying off the throttle here, so that's why it's laying down, and then they're obviously a limiter early. But bringing in more boost soon, and then more boost out the back. 20 pounds there, 15 out the back. We ended up making 269, 307 uncorrected. It's pretty warm in here right now. With the corrected, it's 296, 338, which if you added 13% on that 296, we're right around where these things are making, which is 334 on a dyno jet. Really happy with it. Chris is extremely excited. Right now I am flashing it, and it takes quite a bit to flash this car. So I'm doing that right now. Once this flash goes through, this will probably be the last pull, and that is going to wrap it up on this thing. I'm pretty excited. It went really smooth. Software, once I got in there, everything started to make sense. Obviously, used a lot of cob, so I understand a lot of things that are already into ECU, but being that this is a completely different ECU, there's some new things. So I'm just gonna let this thing flash. We're gonna do the last pull, see where we end up, see if maybe we can get some more power out of this thing. I mean, we already got a really nice power graph where it's just flat, so I don't know how much more there's gonna be able to gain out of this thing on pump 92 octane that we have here, which is a little bit less than 93, but better than 91, obviously. So let's see where we're at. This thing takes forever to flash. We are at 30%. So. Got the thing off the dyno, ready to go for the first test drive. And Chris, like I said, this thing has 10,000 miles. I'm putting Chris on camera today. It's a big day. So he already knows what this thing drove like stock for the first, obviously, 10,000 miles. So it's going to be a good example today of what you think of the new setup. So you ready to go for a test drive? Yeah. All right, let's go win. All right, now we're out here safe. Do the first pull here in a moment. How's it feel just cruising around, tipping in?
It feels a lot better, especially just like the bottom end, just rolling into it. It makes a big difference on just, you know, bottom end power.
Mid-range, I guess. Because like, even my stock one, I felt that too, where it was kind of delayed. You have kind of the boost leg, so now you don't have as much as that. You have more quick response. And the top end is a pretty big gain. I also took some of the torque limiting on the shifts off, so it definitely shifts a lot better and feels like it recovers on the shift better than they do factory, because as Chris was mentioning, they pretty much just fall off when you shift from factory to the next gear. It doesn't really make them fun to rip on.
No. There's not a whole lot of point in banging gears with it.
No.
With a factory tune and factory setup.
Well, you want to do a pull for them? See what we got. If only they still had the flat foot feature on these, it'd be nice. There you go. This shifts really good.
It does shift really good. It doesn't really have any loss in power on the gear change. It doesn't do any of the stupid stuff it did from the factory.
Yeah, treat it almost like a Honda and shift off the limiter.
The extra RPM seems to make a big difference, and is obviously a significant difference in power, but I think even more of a difference in power delivery.
That's pretty big. I mean, it feels pretty quick in the passenger. I'm impressed for a bolt-on car.
And I've never, like, any of the Subarus I've ever had, I never did a bolt-on car. It was like stock and then big turbo. Yeah. So like, this is really my first experience with a full bolt-on car, and I think that, I mean, for a car that gets driven every day, especially for the, you know, what it'll get used for, this is an awesome upgrade.
Yeah, I think this is a great upgrade for anyone that wants to do this on a 22 plus WRX, because it increases the drivability so much of the car, and those of us that want to have fun, there's more power for it. It feels good.
It does. It feels really good.
Yeah, definitely the shifts are 10 out of 10 better than what they were.
Like I was saying before, I'd shift at like 4,500. I was like, I didn't see any point in going much past that. It was like, it's just being hard on the car for no reason, because it wasn't any more fun than.
Yep. And this feels like E85 power on an EJ, to be honest with you. With like a full bolt-on EJ, this feels similar to like an E85, but to be able to just have pump 92 octane, like, this is a pretty good power increase. Yeah, we'll just go left here. I'm impressed. It definitely
I'm
makes
pretty
me
excited. This
Wow.
definitely changes the driving experience a lot.
That was the biggest letdown, was the gear change. That's huge. That's huge.
Massive difference.
Wow. I'm actually pretty excited about these cars now.
I kind of thought you would once you got a little bit of experience. I know you're like,
I didn't like them. Chris is on me. He's like, you're gonna like them. Just give it
it's
time.
gonna grow on you.
I'm liking them. The software, like I said, when I first got into it, some bits and pieces obviously don't make sense because you've never seen it before. It takes time. You know, everybody with this platform's learning more and more about them every day. And once I sat down with it, I picked it up pretty quick. You know, obviously there's still a lot to learn, but I mean, the car drives great. I'm excited. Good power gains. And I didn't push the car on the ragged edge. I mean, we stopped right where we know this is where they're happy. Car's happy, obviously. Done about 10 hits. It feels like it has flat foot shift. That's because we got Honda boy driver.
Why would you pick your foot up off the throttle when shifting?
Then you have to lose power. I mean, I agree. These transmissions are stronger than the older ones too. A lot of people have good results. There's been some that broke them.
Yeah, well,
but those are probably also the people
you can break any transmission.
That's true. People broke STI trans. Well,
people.
I don't know what you're talking about. We're gonna cut that. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap up this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this new VB content and us actually following through with the 22 WRX content. We are gonna be going on to another video of this thing. We have a bunch of Perrin parts to install, so we're gonna be doing that into the next video. That way you guys can see exactly what they have to offer. I was gonna show you the dyno graph here, overlaid from our tune to the factory to show you what it actually gained. The car picked up about 40 wheel horsepower, and we picked up, let me do math real quick. Engine torque. It says 17 torque. Did I get that right? Nope, I got that completely wrong. So we made 241 and 241. This is the factory pull, no correction, just directly what the Mustang saw reading. So 241 and 241. And then we made 280 and 297 torque. So we made 40 more wheel and we made 57 more torque. Look at the graph there, looking nice, smooth, and beautiful. Obviously I raised the limiter on the car. Factory was at 6K, moved it up to 7,000 RPMs, and you can see we have a real nice broad point, you know, probably around the 6,800 RPM region. It's starting to actually taper power. Looks really good, really happy of it. As you can see, Chris is happy of how it turned out. Now we're gonna get the Hot Boy stuff on there. I'm sure that another day will come where we'll put E30 in that car and put some ethanol in it and see what we can gain. But this is a huge gain over the factory. Definitely a real good benefit for you guys. These things respond really well from a tune in general, let alone, you know, the bolt-on parts just add the reliability side. I definitely would do the AOS, and I would definitely do an upgraded intercooler of some sort. You know, I know a lot of people want to stay with a top mount. I myself prefer a front mount because you get better temps. You don't get all that heat rising to the intercooler. But they do benefit a lot from a tune. So that's gonna wrap it up, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'll see you actually tomorrow, which you're gonna see me look the same to do all the bolts.
Living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. Life up in the fast lane, fast lane. And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane. Pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground. Living life up in the fast lane. Life, though you lemons, you just put them in Coronas, Coronas, Coronas. I've been working, I need that advance with the bonus, the bonus, the bonus. Ain't no thoughts about tomorrow, I'm just living in the moment, the moment, the moment. Full tank of gas and 200 on the dash, bitch, I'm zoning, I'm zoning, I'm zoning. Fast lane, living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. Life up in the fast lane, fast lane. life up in the fast lane. Pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground.